is a smart woman. She had just come back from London, where she had spent several years, working at an art school as a student and living a studio life. "I was hoping now for a man to come along," Gudrun said, suddenly catching her underlip between her teeth and making a strange grimace, half sly smiling, half anguish. Ursula was afraid. "So you have come home expecting him here?" she laughed. "Oh, my dear," cried Gudrun, strident. "I wouldn't go out of my way to look for him. But if there did happen to come along a highly attractive individual of sufficient means, well—" she tailed off, ironically. Then she looked searchingly at Ursula, as if to probe her. "Don't you find yourself getting bored?" she asked of her sister. "Don't you find that things fail to materialise? Nothing materialises. Everything withers in the bud." "What withers in the bud?" asked Ursula. "Oh, everything. Oneself. Things in general." There was a pause, whilst each sister vaguely considered her fate. "It does frighten one," said Ursula, and again there was a pause. "But do you hope to get anywhere by just marrying?" "It seems to be the inevitable next step," said Gudrun. Ursula pondered this with a little bitterness. She was a class mistress herself, in Willey Green Grammar School, as she had been for some years. "I know," she said. "It seems like that when one thinks in the abstract. But really imagine it. Imagine any man one knows. Imagine him coming home to one every evening and saying, 'Hello,' and giving one a kiss." There was a blank pause. "Yes," said Gudrun in a narrowed voice. "It's just impossible. The man makes it impossible." "Of course there's children," said Ursula doubtfully. Gudrun's face hardened. "Do you really want children, Ursula?" she asked coldly. A dazzled, baffled look came on Ursula's face. "One feels it is still beyond one," she said. "Do you feel like that?" asked Gudrun. "I get no feeling whatever from the thought of bearing children." Gudrun looked at Ursula with a mask-like, expressionless face. Ursula knitted her brows. "Perhaps it isn't genuine," she faltered. "Perhaps one doesn't really want them in one's soul, only superficially." A hardness came over Gudrun's face. She did not want to be too definite. "When one thinks of other people's children," said Ursula. Again Gudrun looked at her sister, almost hostile. "Exactly," she said, to close the conversation. The two sisters worked on in silence. Ursula having always that strange brightness of an essential flame that was caught, meshed, contravened. She lived a good deal by herself, to herself, working, passing on from day to day, and always thinking, trying to lay hold on life, to grasp it in her own understanding. Her active living was suspended, but underneath, in the darkness, something was coming to pass. If only she could break through the last integuments. She seemed to try and put her hands out, like an infant in the womb. And she could not yet. Still she had a strange prescience, an intimation of something yet to come. She laid down her work and looked at her sister. She thought Gudrun so charming, so infinitely charming, in her softness and her fine, exquisite richness of texture and delicacy of line. There was a certain playfulness about her too, such a piquancy of ironic suggestion, such an untouched reserve. Ursula admired her with all her soul. "Why did you come home, Prune?" she asked. Gudrun knew she was being admired. She sat back from her drawing and looked at Ursula from under her finely curved lashes. "Why did I come back, Ursula?" she repeated. "I have asked myself 1,000 times. And don't you know?" "Yes, I think I do. I think my coming back home was just reculer pour mieux sauter." And she looked with a long, slow look of knowledge at Ursula. "I know!" cried Ursula, looking slightly dazzled and falsified, and as if she did not